You controlling your breathing right now. Feel the power of you enjoying your greatest gift right now. That's you. That's your presence. That's your greatest power. Your power to determine to stay in the present, in the now, and be your true great being that you are. No matter what. In this present moment, everything is here you need right now. Morning, guys. Another major fear we have in our lives, and this is true for most of us, is the fear of loss of love. And this is a really tough one because our very essence, everything we're made of, all the truth principles we're made of, they're all made, it's all love. And we want to feel that connection, that love, that belonging with every single human being. That's what we really want deep down inside. But unless we become centered on correct principles and things that are intangible, things we can't see, energies that we can't see, unless we become centered on finding our true happiness, freedom, and success, and if we're not happy, nobody else around us can be happy because we're not giving the best of ourselves. So we have to overcome this fear of losing love, fear of losing people that we love most. And if we do, we can achieve our greatness. Have a great day, everyone.
You know, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about your confidence. And I am really excited to break down a framework for you. And I hope in doing this, help you realize where some of those dark days come from, where you lose faith in yourself. Where those dark days come from when you know you have a lot to do, but you just don't feel like you can figure it out. Where that, you know, when you get to go out in the world again, or when you're on a Zoom and you got to show yourself to the world and you feel awkward or weird or insecure, that you tap back into that authentic strength, that truth of who you are. And that as you go through your life, you feel confident that no matter what life is going to throw at you, you're going to learn, you're going to figure it out, you're going to develop your capabilities. And many of you are going through really hard times right now. Sometimes it's just hard to even be positive. You can be so consumed and so overwhelmed by the negativity of other things out there. You just go, oh my gosh, this is just hard to feel good, let alone confident. I'm going to break down a framework that I hope some of you are familiar with, but today we're going to talk about it in with a different lens of how to overcome insecurities and what specific daily and monthly habits you might set up for yourself to feel more strong. So this is a piece of paper. It's a framework for confidence that I have on a board in my office. See, we need reminders. We are visual humans. We need to look at something to remind ourselves of something. And so, you see, I have this, I'll share this with you in a minute, but I want to get the practice in your mind. The practice in your mind is you should have instructions to yourself on a wall somewhere. So you're like, if you walked into my office and say, Brandon, why do you have a framework for confidence on your wall over there? And I go, well, because sometimes I don't feel confident. And what do we do when we don't feel something? Well, when we don't feel something that we want to feel, we tend to feel not good because we're like, I don't feel this, so I feel bad about myself. Or we tend to distract ourselves. I don't like this feeling, so I don't know what to do, so let me just scroll through the internet. So to me, what I've done is I've got a board over here, and there's my framework for happiness. Do you have a framework for happiness on your wall yet? So that when you don't feel happy, you can go, I don't feel happy. What's going on with me? And you can just go look at it and go, I've got my checklist for happiness right there. I forgot point number 3. No wonder I'm not happy. What I'm trying to suggest to you is maybe you give yourself a checklist, a framework, a set of instructions for the feelings that you really want to experience in life. And when you're not feeling it, instead of retreating into the comforts of distraction, you go back to your instructions. You know what makes you feel good. And it's time to write that down and look at it more consistently. Here we go. This is my confidence checklist. This is my framework for confidence. I'm going to break down each of these areas. And even if you've seen this maybe before with me, what I'd love to do is break down where these grow into trouble, where these are developed and strengthened, where these can be applied in your life financially, in your life, in your marriage or your relationship with your partner, with the kids. So I'm going to break down each of those things, each of those areas. I'll use a card here for you. We're going to start with that very first card here. Clarity. Human beings are a goal-directed species. If we don't have clarity on what we want, if we don't have clarity on who we are, if we don't have clarity on what our intentions are in social relationships, it's unnerving to us. Well, if you ever felt lost in life, you know that feeling. It's coming from a lack, often of clarity. We'll talk about this. You just don't know who you are, what you're about, what you want anymore. And it's unsettling when you lack clarity. It's really unsettling. You're like, I don't know what I'm about anymore. And this is where midlife crises come in. Clarity is something it's like knowledge or a goal or an aim, but it's loosely held. What I mean by that is like, okay, that's important to me, but I can be flexible and adaptive as well. It's not this idea that you have total 100% complete certainty and you're total certain all the time. It's like that is a adolescent dream. No, there is no absolute certainty in anything in life, right? And so we have to go, okay, I can have clear direction, or I can be strongly committed to this thing, but lots of people who are absolutely certain about something shifts months later. So here's my question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, in the last 60 days, how clear have you been about what you wanted in life? Did you start the day with some clarity about how you wanted to live that day, show up that day, treat other people that day, serve that day? So let's think about where sometimes you feel insecure. You're going to go to that party or that networking function. You feel insecure about yourself. Why? Because in your mind, the insecurity in that moment, in that situation of the networking situation or the party is coming from, I don't know who I am in here. I don't know these people and who I'm supposed to be with them. I don't know where to go or where to stand or who to talk to. And so it's unnerving. The insecurity is, I don't know what to do in this situation. Now that type of confidence or lack thereof is something that psychologists call self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is about, I don't know what to do in this situation. That's where the insecurity comes from. Positive self-efficacy means I believe that I know what to do in this situation. I can handle this. Even if I don't know how yet, I believe I can handle this. I have the competence to take this on, as an example. That's positive. But a lot of things in life you don't know how to deal with. You don't have self-efficacy because you don't know how to handle it yet. This is a new party. You don't know anybody in it. It's a new networking event. You've never met any of these people. How do you get more confidence in that? Well, one simple thing you can do is start with clarity. Like, okay, I'm going to go talk to people. What's something I'd love to share about myself with every new person I meet? Oh, okay. Lock that in. Okay, got it. What's one question I could ask every new person I meet? Okay, let me lock that in. Okay, just those two things have been found to dramatically increase people's sense of confidence in social situations. I know what I'm going to share about myself. I have clarity on it. I know what I'm going to ask them. I have clarity on it. Just those two simple things. The problem with clarity is it's a double-edged sword. A lot of people, their clarity is, I'm awful. I'm worthless. I'm no good. And they've stacked up all these experiences to strengthen that belief. And their clarity is, well, I'm a jerk. I don't deserve success. I won't have success. They've got clarity, but they got the wrong kind of clarity. See, confidence requires positive clarity, not negative self-defeating clarity. So clarity is a double-edged sword. If you believe the wrong thing about yourself, that's going to hurt you too. So what's the opposite of that? Well, I'm going to start viewing myself positively. How can we do that? Well, you know what? Maybe each day for the next 10 days, I'm going to write down a strength that I have. Write down 10 positive things about yourself every day for the next 10 days. Watch what happens for you. It starts shifting your perception of yourself. Here, my little framework, we're going to go from clarity now to congruence.
Hey guys, today Oprah Winfrey shares another rule of success for her, and that is find your purpose. I love this one. This is everything. If we don't know what it is we're supposed to be doing, we don't know which way to go. We don't know how to guide our thoughts, our actions, our everything. So for me, it's determination. That's why I love my one word. Determination means decision, deciding, and then desiring and never giving up until you go after what you really want. See, we have to have that sense of that we're headed in the right direction. And so you got to find your purpose. Oprah Winfrey has shared with us that if you don't have a purpose, you're just wandering around. You're just drifting. And you're not meant to do that. We're meant to lock into something, which is our true greatness, and bring it out and share it with the world. But find out what it is you really want and go after it like your life depends on it. Have a great day, everyone.
If we can't think greater than how we feel, or our feelings have become the means of thinking, then we're thinking in the past. So we call that the familiar past. And then a person gets going in the day and they start thinking, oh, I got to see this person, I got to go to that meeting, I hate doing this, and now they get in their routine. And a habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that's acquired through repetition. A habit is when you've done something so many times that the body now knows how to do it better than the mind. So now the person running through the same routine every single day is on autopilot, and their body's now dragging them into a predictable future based on what they did in the past, and they've lost their free will to a set of programs, right? So now you have the familiar past and you have the predictable future. Those are knowns. So the only place then, reasonably, where the unknown exists is the sweet spot of the generous present moment. That is when the body and mind are free from those conditions. So along with those emotions that influence the same thoughts, people start becoming more judgmental. They start becoming more impatient. They start becoming more entitled. They start getting more afraid, more anxious, more depressed. And now the body is literally being depleted of energy because it's believing that it's living in an emergency situation. And in emergency, you tap all of the body's resources for some threat, whether it's real or imagined. And so then when you're releasing all of these chemicals, we are literally drawing the body's life force and turning it into chemistry. And so for the short term, that's cool. But the arousal that's created from those stress hormones is a rush of energy. And so then people use the problems and the conditions in their life to reaffirm their conditioning or their addiction to that emotion. And in a sense, they become addicted to the life they don't even like. And this is why change is so hard.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best believed life and learn how to brainwash yourself for success. Enjoy.
When a person makes up their mind to change and they say, okay, I'm not going to say I can't, I'm not going to judge another person, I'm not going to blame, I'm not going to complain, I'm not going to make excuses, I'm not going to be a victim, I'm not going to talk trash about anybody, I'm just going to stop. Well, that works out really well for the first couple hours. Then the body's saying you're out of schedule. You normally at 8 in the morning, you're getting traffic and you're angry. Then at 11 o'clock, you check your emails and you're really judgmental and frustrated. The body's saying, oh, well, you've been doing this for the last 20 years. You're just going to stop today. So now the body, which has been conditioned emotionally to be the mind, wants to return back to its familiar territory, to the known. So the body starts influencing the mind. And it says, come on, this is a good time to judge. Come on, this is a good time to suffer. It's your ex's fault. It's the government's fault. It's it's the weather, the news, whatever it is. And if we accept, believe, and surrender to that thought without analyzing it, it slips by and it begins to program the autonomic nervous system to make those pharmacy of chemicals. And so that's when the person makes the same choice, does the same thing, creates the same experience just for that familiar feeling. Okay, I'll complain just so I can feel suffering. Then they'd rather be unhappy than step into the unknown, to step into possibility. And the hardest part about that process, first of all, is not making the same choices you did the day before. And here's the payoff. You got to stay conscious and not go unconscious. And it turns out that 95% of the time we're unconscious. So if you're going to stay conscious, then there's an element that also requires a certain amount of awareness or energy. And you got to step outside of that unconscious state. So the thoughts that they're thinking are slipping by their awareness unnoticed because they're hardwired in their brain, because they've been saying, I can't, it's too hard, my life will never change, it's someone else's fault. Those thoughts have consequences in the body. So then if a person then becomes conscious of those unconscious thoughts, becomes aware of how they speak and how they act, and they notice how they're feeling, they're no longer the program. They're the consciousness outside the program, and that's the first step to change. So when you're distracted by your environment and you got your cell phone and you're tweeting and you're Instagramming and Facebooking, whatever people do, you're distracted by that feeling. But I now know that if you take a person and you say, okay, close your eyes, sit in the silence of any external stimulation, remove the environment, sit your body down like an animal. Body is the animal. Tell it to stay. I'm going to feed you. You can check your cell phone. You can shower. You can have your coffee. But when I say, and so then here comes the challenge, right? So, and then if you say then you're not going to live in the familiar past or predictable future, you're not going to think about how long you've been meditating, what you got to do. You labor for that present moment. People think when they do this that they're doing something wrong because there's such discomfort that comes with it. But they're in the unknown. They're actually doing it right. People say, I think I'm meditating wrong. I always say, oh, no, you're doing it right. Because when you notice that your body wants to get up and check your cell phone or have a cup of coffee, and you become aware that it's on autopilot and wants to do that, and you say, come on over here, and you return it back to the present moment, you're executing a will now that's greater than the program. And if the person wants to just get angry while they're sitting there, there's an arousal, and they notice the body is amping up and revving up, and they settle it back down. Now they're telling the body it's no longer the mind, that they're the mind. Now, we've researched this, and it's tedious in the beginning at first because David is fighting Goliath. But if you keep practicing it, just like training an animal, sooner or later the body acquiesces. Sooner or later the body is trained to a new mind. And when that happens, there's a liberation of energy. The body goes from particle to wave, from matter to energy. And there goes that emotion, literally liberated from the body as energy. So the person who has the strong emotion to some circumstance in their life, and they're working on lowering the volume of that emotion, the more they lower the volume of that emotion, the more they're going to take their attention off that person and problem, and they're going to take their power back. There's going to be a break in their attention from that circumstance. And now they build their own field. And now there's energy to heal. Now there's energy to create a new life. Now there's energy for the mystical moment because they've overcome their old personality self. So I think, it's not like thinking positively. That's not the message.
Yeah.
It's overcoming until we become somebody else. And when that occurs and the person starts thinking differently and they start acting differently and they start feeling differently, they're a new personality. And they start seeing those synchronicities and serendipities. Now, crossing that river of change, the creative process now gets exciting, because what thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What kind of attention and intention do you want to place so that that becomes the loudest voice in your head? And if you keep practicing it, the hardware becomes a software program, and it'll say, Jay, you can do anything. Jay, you live in no time and accomplish everything. Jay, you're unlimited. You just got to hang with it. On the other side of this is greatness. Whatever you want to program in there, you get to program in there. If you sat down and say, how am I going to be with my wife, my husband, my partner? How am I going to be with my kids? How am I going to be at work with my coworkers? How am I going to be in traffic? And you close your eyes and you begin to rehearse in your mind. If you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between the real life experience and what you're imagining. So now the brain goes from a record of the past to a map to the future. Now you're installing the hardware. Keep practicing it. It becomes automatic, it becomes easier. Now it's a software program. You may just start behaving differently. And then if you said, well, listen, I'm not going to wait for my healing to feel gratitude. I'm not going to wait for my new relationship to feel love. I'm going to actually teach my body emotionally what that future feels like before it happens. Now, this is a big turnaround for a lot of people, because we're so reliant on the outer world to change our inner world, right?
And waiting and postponing.
And waiting is not creating. I mean, period. And when people they could have the greatest intentions in the world, but if they don't combine that with an elevated emotion, there's no signal, because the elevated emotion is the carrier. It's the energy that carries the thought. So then, when we're in separation, in lack, waiting for our wealth to feel abundance, we're basically living our whole life in pain, right? So then if you reason this, and a person can get up from their meditation and they literally feel differently, and they're feeling the emotions of their future before it happens, this is turning the whole process around. They can't be looking for it. Why would they be looking for it if they felt like it already happened? Now there's no separation. Now this is when those serendipities and coincidences and opportunities begin to show up in people's lives. So it's work, but then when they start seeing the experience in their life, all of a sudden they start believing they're more of the creator of their life and less of the victim of their life.
Rule number 2 is raise your standards with Brendan Burchard.
I know.
Good morning, guys. As we live, laugh, and love our way to infinite mind wealth, we got to remember the words of Les Brown. Les Brown is amazing in the way he's lived, loved, and laughed his way, and he's still on his way to infinite mind wealth. I want to borrow from him today. In his speech at the Georgia Dome, he made a comment about how we can approach all the struggles, all the defeats, all the setbacks we're going to have on this path. And I love his line. I think one of the lines that he used was, don't say that you're having a bad day. Say that you're having a character building day. And I love that. That's something we have to hold on to. If we can hold on to that one thought in everything we do, it will definitely put us on that path to loving our way to infinite mind wealth, because we're building character. We're not having a bad day. We got to change that thought. We're building character, which is the absolute essential to being our truly great self. Have a great day, everyone.
I would love for you to come up with a mantra for this year. Maybe it's, if not now, when? If not me, who? If not this, what? If not now, when? If not me, who? If not this, what? Say it when you're alone. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. Go take a walk. But when you say it to the world, it comes back and it gives you this visceral feeling that it's hard to explain. This is my year because I'm going to be the man or the woman God meant me to be. This is the year I tap into my full potential. This is the year I make no excuses. I don't know what yours is, but I'm going to encourage you to find a simple one. That when you're having those tough days, you go back to your why. You let your why sink into your heart. That emotion emotion. And then you repeat your mantra. Get yourself back on track. Honestly, right now, if I was gonna judge your state, if 0 is lethargic, tired, defeated, I can't do this, and 10 is, I got this, I'm doing it, I feel it. Right now, your state, on a 1 to 10, where are you right now? I wanna get you back to this state, because this is the state where anything is possible. This is the state where you go, I got this. Hand the problems over to me. You can't handle it? I got it.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle.
But you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best.
So today, let's learn from one of the best, Dean Graziosi, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
If we know where we are with honesty, we know where we want to go, pretending it's a year from now, it was the best year of our life, we write it down like crazy, that's where we want to go. If we know where we are and we know where we want to go, we have this gap that we have to fill. Before we get the capabilities to fill the gap, what do we need to do? We need to get into our hearts. We need to get into our emotion. And we need to create a why so deep. You know, one of my students said once, if your why doesn't make you cry, you didn't go deep enough. And I'm not trying to say that, but you need a why that when you think about, you either get tears or goosebumps. And if you're not there, you got to go through the process. You got to go through I went through it quick today, but you got to go through the real process of the 7 levels deep. So you're so in line with it. So you're so connected to it that when you're having a tough day, when stuff goes sideways, because it will, when people don't believe in you because they won't, when every sign points that it's not going to work, that you're not going to accomplish it, you need to go back to this why and go, I don't care. Listen, you can't look at success through odds. You don't have the odds of being happy, healthy, wealthy. Who cares about odds? You throw the odds out. You have a compelling enough why, nothing can stop you. So if you know where you are, and you know where you want to go, and you know there's a gap, you fill it with an emotion, and then come up with your yearly mantra, your incantation for the year. You know, it could be simple. If not now, when? I want to be the woman God designed me to be, and this is my year. Just come up with something no one has to know. You don't have to tell anyone else. You're having a tough day, go take a walk and say it to yourself. I'm telling you, the more you say it, the louder you say it, the more you put it out to the universe, you feel it in your body and you become alive. And that's what we need to fight this good fight, especially in a time where things are a little crazy in the outside world. So if you know where you are and you know where you want to go, you attach an emotion, you get your mantra. The last piece, that's good, Mike. The last piece is how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? Right? Let's go back to the whiteboard for a second. This is the gap, right? And we just need the pieces to fill the void. So as you're setting goals, if you want to make them a reality, right? We had the vision, it was a year from now, it was the best year of our life, that's our goals. We got an emotion attached to it, that's why I want to do it. Now how am I going to get there? That's where you need to decide what's missing. If it's in business, so many of you are with us in Project Next, go back into the course. Get a coach, get a mentor, right? Go back through it. Set goals that stick. Look at my goals every day. Some of you need the accelerated success formula. That's the gap to make sure you have the right mindset that becomes bulletproof. Maybe you need to get a mentor. Maybe you need to work with somebody. Maybe you need to get a gym membership. Maybe you need a love coach. Maybe you need to go counseling. Maybe you need someone to help you figure out how to do meals. Maybe you got to find a course to get better at the meals that you make, or get a course to find your soul again. I don't know what capabilities you need, but this is the how. Because listen, your best thinking got you here. Your best capabilities got you here. That's not a bad thing. My unfair advantage is that I've spent over $1 million on courses and masterminds and workshops, either attending them or creating them in my life. When I want to learn something, and this is the evolution I want to share with you guys today. I set it up earlier, but this is the part that's really important. When I have a gap in my life, I told you the gap in my relationship, I told you my gap in a business, my gap in health. When I want to get from here to here, the first thing that comes to mind is how. And I want to get the capabilities, hear me, remember the most costly advice in the world is learning from someone that's not qualified to teach you. Bad advice is the most costly advice. So you want to learn the how and the capabilities from someone who's already done it. But this has evolved in my head. See, when I think of how to go from here to here, and I attach my emotion, I've evolved that to who. Here, come back over here. Think about that. Who has already done it? Who has lost the weight? Who has fixed the relationship? Who has launched courses online that knows how to do it? Who has the mindset strategy so I don't get lost in 2022? Who has the mindset strategy where I could stay anchored, stay in this state, build my confidence, and become unstoppable? Feed the inner hero, not feed the inner villain. Who has done that? And when I look through the lens of who, it takes away the anxiety. I just want to find who's already been there, gain their capabilities, and then take uncomfortable action. So today, as we've taken this whole journey together, what I want to share with you is when you know where you are with honesty, when you know where you want to go, you have a compelling future. And you should stare at that every day. And then you must do something most people don't. You got to get into your heart. And you got to attach an emotion to it on why you want it.
Rule number 2, always keep evolving.
The world
We end. Well, quote unquote, we never really end. We now focus on our breathing. Back straight, eyes closed, legs crossed. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel that power that you're using to control your breathing. It's your connection to oneness, to what we all really are, to the truth. The ultimate truth. That you were born to win control over your mind. That when we all do that, we find out the truth of who we all really are. Infinitely intelligent beings, powerful beyond measure. The power of all knowing right here, right now, this moment. You're already made of all knowing of the universe. You're made of that same stuff. With that, you can always have and be your true, peaceful, happy, kind, loving self.